Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So unfortunately, there's some very disheartening and disturbing news that has been being updated in the media very recently, all throughout today. A submersible went down to where the Titanic sank, unfortunately, all those years ago, carrying 5, if I'm not mistaken, billionaires. They were going, I guess, sort of like on an excursion, if you will. This was sort of like, I guess, what they titled a once-in-a-lifetime experience that they paid very hefty money to be a part of, to go down and see the Titanic and the remains of the Titanic. Now, according to this article, the name of the vessel is Titan. All of this is very disturbing to me, not just what happened to these people. And a lot of people are chuckling it up and making fun of them on social media, but they need to be praying that these people can be found, because as it stands right now, they're still looking for these people. They went missing once they went down there to look at the remains of the Titanic, and they have not been found. The last update that I saw, which was updated about 7 to 5 hours ago on the news, was that these people had 20 hours, less than now, of course, of air left. And then that's it for them. So we need to be sending up prayers so they can find these people. Now, like I said before, people have been talking about this all over social media, all throughout the day. And, some people have been saying, well, if they wanted to go down there and explore and they had the money to do it, what was the issue? And I get it. I do get it. But it was still a very morbidly dangerous and unwise decision to go down there. Allegedly, the CEO of OceanGate is one of the 5 that's on the Titan. And there were multiple employees of his, some of which are now former employees, who warned him not to do this. They said that there were people saying it is dangerous to go down there. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if they say that we have the technology to do it. I don't care how much money you throw at a project. It was unsafe because of the conditions surrounding the sunken Titanic. There was even a safety person, if I'm not mistaken, who told him this. And for whatever reason, he shrugged it off and he still went ahead with what he wanted to do and got 4 other people involved in this. Now, before I continue, let's take a trip down memory lane, history, if you will, because some people need to see this. For some reason, people really think that just because they can afford to do something, that they should. Wisdom should be used in every decision that you make. Godly wisdom, because God knows every outcome. I don't care what any of you atheists or agnostics say, he's the only one who knows. So I think a good idea would be to consult him first. I'm just saying. I don't understand why people are so obsessed with searching for the remains of the Titanic. Remember, this was a ship that sank with thousands of people on it. Rich people, poor people, middle class people, it didn't matter. Black, white, it didn't matter. They all sank and met an untimely end. Very disturbing. And the details of which, I don't know if y'all have done any research or heard any stories or rumors. All of it is disturbing. But like I said, let's take a little walk back in history, if you will. When the Titanic was first made, there were rumors right off the bat that the hull was actually jeopardized before it even left the docks. It was rumored by some back in that time that the hull was purposefully and intentionally damaged, and the people boarding the ship didn't even know about it. Which is why, according to the alleged rumor, allegedly, when it hit that iceberg, that's why it sank so easily. Like I said, allegations, allegedly, rumors, although still very disturbing. Then there were rumors and some things that I heard from videos right here on YouTube, allegedly, that the guy who was in charge and had the key of the room that had all the binoculars that they could have used to see the iceberg before hitting it, which I still don't think they would have been able to avoid, either quit or was fired from his job and rushed out so quickly that I guess whatever was going on in his life, he just didn't have time to give the guy that was coming on to replace him the dang key. So nobody could get to the binoculars. Another disturbing rumor that I heard, like I said, from a video right here on YouTube, was that the employees in charge of running procedures on how to quickly and efficiently take down the lifeboats so that they can put them in the water and get people on them, skipped all the training that was necessary to know how to quickly and efficiently take down the lifeboats from how they were fastened and put them in the water and evacuate people into them, which cost them dearly. Them skipping over those drills, or whoever was in charge basically allowing them to skip over those drills, cost them precious time that they could have used to save more lives. And let's not neglect to mention how you had to be very rich in order to get on this ship. Yeah, there were poor people on there, probably who had to, work for the rich people. But you had to be very rich to get on here and get into some of the nicer upper class, suites and places on the ship. And those people were not nice. They were very disrespectful, greedy, rich individuals who did not care about the lower class, about poor people. The way they had these people roomed up was just disgusting. It was disgusting. It was trifling. It was raggedy. It was just subhuman, if you ask me. And I don't want to hear nothing about they couldn't afford nothing, because this is how these people arranged for the things to look like and be like for the lower class, to remind these people where they're at in life and just to be raggedy, like I said. But anyways, the final disturbing, well, this ain't really a rumor. This was actually something that happened for real. This woman, this elderly woman, who was actually a survivor of the Titanic, who was retelling her story and how the entire tragedy went down. Her and her family were actually classified as second-class citizens, but her father just so happened to hear what was going down. Basically, that the ship was about to go down. Allegedly, according to her story, because of how quickly he moved and received the information to be able to tell them to get them out of there, they were actually some of the first people who made it to the top deck in time to be able to get out. And her father had to stay behind and help her get into a lifeboat, along with her mother and other women, because they were trying to evacuate the women and the children first. And unfortunately, he did not make it, and they didn't even recover his body. They weren't even able to get his body back from all of the wreckage and the tragedy. But anyway, she retold her story as a 7-year-old, if I'm not mistaken, being put into the lifeboat in the middle of the icy cold waters of the North Atlantic deep blue, as the Titanic sank, if I'm not mistaken, for a whole 2.5 hours. She saw this take place as a child, and she said what haunted her for the rest of her natural life, basically, was the sound of those people meeting their untimely end while sinking in that ship. Because remember, there are some people, they didn't even know what was going on until all hell broke loose. It will always disturb me when I think about the Titanic, how there were people, like I said, living in the lower class rooms that had no idea. They were nowhere near the top deck. Nobody warned them. They didn't know. They were there, and all of a sudden water flooded their rooms. There was nothing they could do except drown and be sad and distraught and horrified. Like that bothers me, that disturbs me when I think of that, which disturbs me whenever people are so obsessed. Like, I get it if you're a historian and, you're into the Titanic, what happened. You're like, well, let's see what we can do to make ships better so that this kind of stuff doesn't happen. But people who are so obsessed with, oh, let's go down there and see the wreckage, where all those people, those innocent souls, lost their lives. Yo, there was like 2,000 people on that ship, and they saved less than half of them because of unwise decisions, things that they did that could have been prevented, that they didn't take the time to try and prevent or put procedures in, safety, just common safety. All of those people lost their lives, like I said, which is why it disturbs me when people take such an interest in going down there where that stuff is. And I don't know, a lot of people don't believe in the whole spirits thing, but I do think that where there are large amounts of people who passed away in very heinous or cruel ways, like for instance during slavery times when they were, they had those ships and they were taking, our people from over where they were, enslaving them, doing some of the most heinous, awful things to them, putting them on those boats, throwing them overboard. Those people passed away in some heinous conditions. And if you don't think there's some odd things going around in those areas, you better think again. And like I said, I don't understand why anybody would put their life in jeopardy to go over there again. I feel like essentially where the Titanic sank is a memorial. It's a grave site. And for people to keep going over there, I don't think it's appropriate at all. And like I said, there's always the spiritual aspect that people love to deny and scoff at. And another thing I want to mention, because, we weren't about to be talking about all this sad stuff, as bad as I feel about it, and me pass up what they said, how they said that God couldn't sink the Titanic. But guess what happened to it? So for all you people who like to scoff and mock God, you better think again before you do it. People love to say stuff like, don't jinx me or don't jinx them, but they'll say stuff like God can't sink the ship. Why would you even play games like that in the ocean where you can't go nowhere? Why would you even play those kind of games, really? But anyways, our last disturbing thing that I wanted to make mention of while I wrap this history lesson and our, walk down history lane up, when this woman said that they were out there in the icy, like I said, cold waters of the North Atlantic, and they were in those lifeboats. They saw a ship that came by them. And you know what happened? It passed right on by and kept going. They said people were screaming and waving, and she said, well, I know that it was nighttime, and you can say maybe they didn't see. But she said out of her own mouth that that ship passed too close to them to not see them, even in the lowest of visibility conditions. She said that there was no reason why that ship shouldn't have saw them, implying that maybe they did and passed them up on purpose. Like I said, a disturbing rumor that she put out there. So I done told you guys all of this, the disturbing things concerning the Titanic, how I feel like it was doomed from the very start. Just too many things went wrong, too many things happened that's disturbing. And the most disturbing part of all of this in connection with this issue that's going on right now today is the fact that it's almost as if they have created the same situation but on a much smaller scale. Remember when I mentioned that the name of the vessel was called the Titan? Okay. Is there any connections? Is anybody drawing any dots? You can call me crazy. You can say, oh, you got a tinfoil hat on. You crazy. But there's too much going on in this situation. It's disturbing. There's too many similarities. Like I said, 5 rich people that got on a vessel and went down the same place that the Titanic went down to see it, of course. But now they done came up missing. And I want for all of you who think that I'm just reaching to take a look at some of the stuff. Again, the safety protocols that were just completely ignored. Like I said, the former employees and employees that tried to warn the CEO and he just scoffed them off and kept going. I want you to look at this diagram, this little, thing that they set up for us to get an idea of where exactly they went to even go to the Titanic. They literally went down thousands, tens of thousands of feet just to get to the Titanic. 13,000 feet is where they went just to get to the wreckage. I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody who's an explorer or is into this kind of stuff, but I don't believe God ever really designed us to be in these places. Quite clearly, he didn't equip us with the necessary equipment, naturally, biologically, to even be down there. We need submarines and machines. And even there's some places that they have limitations they can't get to. We just got out of our history lesson. Let me take you to physics class real fast. There's a law called Boyle's Law. It states that volume and pressure have an inverse relationship, which is a fancy way of saying when one goes up, the other one goes down by default. What the heck does that have to do with this, you might ask? I'm so glad that you did. The deeper you go into the ocean, the higher the pressure is, which means the lower the volume in whatever apparatus, vessel, whatever you are in gets, which means, guess what? The deeper you go, the less space you have in that, which means that once you get to a certain point, it starts to crumble and crush whatever you're in. So I'm surprised that they even made it that far without being unalived, first of all. And I know some people are saying, well, technology has come a long way, but color me shocked still. Like I said, God never intended for us to be even down there at those depths anyways. When they showed pictures of what they even went in, I shook my head. They said that the thing was only made for 5 people and they packed it out with 5 people exactly. And I know people are saying, well, hey, might as well maximize the space. But I'm saying that's absolutely unwise. Might as well take as few people as you can. Because like I said, if it goes to the trash, that's less people that get unalived. And do you really want to completely pack out? That's like saying if an elevator has 2,500 pound capacity, do you really want 2,500 pounds on the elevator while you're on there? Can we please, think about these things prior to acting on them? Now, I said I shook my head whenever I saw the vessel that they got in, the Titan, but I really shook my head and was just disturbed when I saw the alleged device that they said that they used to control the vessel. Yo, I wanted to smack somebody. Why? Why is this? Why? Why is it even? Now, this is actually a Nintendo GameCube controller, but this is basically what it looked like. No difference at all. Like I said, I was disturbed, and the hope that I had for these people's survival went down a little bit when I saw this. I just don't understand this at all. Like I said, safety, clear out the window. Not using wisdom at all. What even is this? Help us today, God. But anyways, they have been sending people down there to search for them. The only bad thing is there's a lot of debris surrounding the Titanic. So they were saying that basically they could have gotten caught in that debris and unfortunately lost. So they don't know where they are exactly. Now they claim they heard banging noises 30 minutes apart, which could be them for all we know. Maybe it is. I hope that it is because that's signs of life. But they don't know how to get to them because they don't know where they are. But nonetheless, we're going to send up prayers anyways, or at least I am, because I feel like that's the right thing to do. A lot of people, like I said in the beginning of the video, have been chuckling it up and laughing at them, talking about, oh, but they don't care because they're rich people and this is what they get. Like I said, they're people at the end of the day. They've made bad decisions just like we all have. that doesn't make them any less deserving of, coming back home. They have families that are, worried about them. Speaking of which, a big mess hit the media just recently concerning Cardi B and one of the stepsons of one of the men that's on the Titan. Allegedly, this young man was at a concert. I'm not familiar with the concert name or the group, whoever they are, but he was at a concert, kind of just living it up. Now, allegedly, somebody was saying that he had spoken to his stepfather previously, because some people do talk about these things, and I do think it's something that people should talk about, because life is not always sunshine and rainbows and puppies, and y'all need to have these kind of conversations, every once in a blue moon. But allegedly they had discussed that, if anything were to happen to him, he wouldn't want his stepson, mulling over or being upset or crying in a corner somewhere. He would want him out living his best life, having fun, not thinking about it. Now, that's what the people were saying online. I don't know how true that is. But this young man, like I said, was seen out at the concert having a good time, while his stepfather is possibly, missing for good, so to speak. And Cardi B, I don't know why, felt to put her 2 cents in, saying that, clearly you don't care about him, basically saying that he was raggedy for doing that, and that if anything happened to her, she would want people to cry, and all that kind of stuff. And people are entitled to how they feel about that kind of stuff. A lot of people were siding with her, but some people were actually saying, now, wait a minute, Cardi B. That's the pot calling the kettle black, because we didn't come out and talk about you for not immediately mourning over the, death of Takeoff. We let you do what you wanted to do, and we didn't judge you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what some people were saying, that she was being a hypocrite, so to speak. Now, I'm kind of in the middle. Like I said, I like to remain neutral on a lot of these things, unless it's just blatantly wrong. Like I said, people are entitled to do what they want to do. Like I said, if they did discuss this beforehand, and that's what he said he wanted his stepson to do, then he should respect those wishes. Now, like I said, I don't know if that happened for sure, which is why I'm not saying yay or nay. But like I said, he had something to say back to her for speaking on the issue at all, because a lot of people, I feel like, had very biased views against him because he's rich, because he's a stepson of a billionaire. But like I said, if that's something that he wanted him to do, and, in lieu of something like this happening, then respect the wishes. And like I can't control how somebody reacts. Does it look like he doesn't care and he's just ready for that money, because he is the stepson, and if anything happens to that man, we know where it's going. I can see where people would say that, but at the same time, you don't know the kid. You don't know his father, his stepfather, etc. So people really got to be careful before they just come for people who they really don't know. Just be careful, because you don't know people like that. And the last thing you would want is to have to eat your words or regret what you said because you said something concerning somebody you knew nothing about. One of those, all up in the Kool-Aid and don't know the flavor kind of situations. That's what we don't want. But anyways, one more thing that I noticed according to the article was that they were bringing into question, ironically, the Titan's hull. Was it thick enough to even survive a trip down there for any length of time? Like I said, all of this is disturbing irony. It's just too much, this going on that's linking back to the original Titanic and how it went down, the people who didn't make it. It's disturbing to me, and I fail to see how people can't see that there's a problem here. There's something fishy, and that's not a pun that I'm trying to make, but something weird is going on here. I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. People ought not get on the internet and make fun of these people in the situation they are in, okay? You don't mock people in a bad situation. Yes, they made some bad decisions. You can have all the biases you want about them, towards them, against them, because of their social standing, some things that they might have said, because what you think about certain people, what we know about certain people of a certain demographic, rich people, and because of, like I said, all of the safety, precautions that the CEO completely shrugged off and then put himself and 4 other people in a very dangerous situation. But there's still people who are in a dangerous situation. They need prayer. I am hoping genuinely that these people can find them and bring them back to safety, because as it stands, according to the news, like I said before, they have about 20 hours left. Well, less than that, like I said. So probably by now, like 15, maybe even 14 hours of air, of oxygen left. And that's it. So they are very, very limited, in time, in the time frame. And the window is only closing as time passes. But anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think and how y'all feel down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all have a blessed day. Like I said, prayers going up for these people that they can rescue them. This video will continue to play until the end of the article is reached. But in the meantime, y'all have a good day. Y'all have a blessed day.